In a quiet town where the rain fell like whispers from the sky, there lived a boy named Chijioke. He was the quiet one, the type that smiled softly, hid his pain, and gave more than he received. Across the road lived Adaora, a girl whose laughter could melt stone. They met when she was 7 and he was 8. She had fallen off a bike, scraped her knee, and he ran to pick her up. That moment sealed it. He loved her, though he didn't know what love meant. He just wanted to make her smile. They became inseparable. Everyone in their school called them husband and wife. But Chijioke never said a word, even when they became teenagers, and Adaora started receiving love letters. He kept watching from a distance, always clapping for her happiness even if it crushed his own. At 17, Adaora began dating Ebuka, the school prefect, handsome, confident, and full of charm. Chijioke watched her fall deeper in love with Ebuka. He still walked her to class. When Ebuka was late, he still carried her books, even when her heart was somewhere else. One night, Adaora cried in Chijioke's arms. Ebuka had cheated. She wept bitterly, and Chijioke held her like she was glass. But even then, he still didn't confess. "Why didn't you ever fall for someone like me?" he whispered silently in his heart. But out loud, he only said, "You'll be okay. You're stronger than you think." That night, he cried too, but not because of Ebuka. He cried because she still didn't see him. Years passed. They went to different universities. Chijioke became a doctor. Adaora became a nurse. They still talked occasionally. He'd ask about her mother, and she'd ask about his cat. Small talks, safe talks. Then, one morning, the invitation arrived. White and gold. "You are invited to the wedding of Adaora and Olumide." Olumide, a man she met during her internship in Lagos. Chijioke's hands trembled. He wanted to tear it, scream, or at least vanish. But instead, he bought the most expensive gift on the registry, wore a smile, and showed up. At the reception, she danced in joy. Everyone clapped. Chijioke clapped too. But his heart was bleeding in silence. That night, he drank water and whispered to the stars. Maybe in another life, she would have been mine. 5 years passed. They lost contact. Life happened. Then a call came. Adaora had collapsed at work. Brain aneurysm, sudden, no warning. She was gone. Chijioke was the only one who showed up at her grave. The next day, with fresh hibiscus flowers, he sat beside the tombstone, silent, eyes dry but soul soaked in pain. Weeks later, her younger sister gave him a brown notebook. "She told me to give this to you if anything ever happened to her." He opened it. It was a diary. Page after page, it was all about him. "I always knew Chijioke loved me. I waited for him to say it. I gave him signs. I cried in his arms hoping he'd speak. But he never did. So I moved on. But no one ever loved me like he did. He loved me quietly, completely, truly. Maybe in another world, we were meant to be." He dropped the book. He screamed. He fell on the floor and cried for hours. On her tombstone's back, he carved the words, "If love could build a stairway, I would walk right up to you and bring you home." Years had passed since Adaora was buried, but for Chijioke, she was never truly gone. He never married. He never loved another. But he became something greater than heartbreak. He became hope, with the pain in his chest and the memories in his mind. He began saving every kobo, every naira. He worked triple shifts as a doctor, took consultancy jobs abroad, and lived simply, quietly, with one dream: to build something in her name, something that would heal others, like she always wanted to. He named it the Adaora Hearts Foundation, a hospital and shelter for women and children. In rural areas, those who couldn't afford help, those who died like she did, in silence. The hospital opening was simple. No TV stations, no celebrities, no banners, just villagers, mothers, midwives, and nurses all gathered under the rising sun. Chijioke stood at the entrance in his white coat, holding the scissors with shaking hands. "This place is not built in memory of the dead," he said. "It is built in the memory of love, and love never dies." He cut the ribbon. The crowd cheered softly, some wept. He walked inside, to her photo hanging above the reception desk. A soft, framed image of Adaora in her nursing uniform, smiling forever. He whispered, "Now they will know you too." One day, years later, a little girl was rushed into the hospital. She had severe fever and was barely breathing. Her parents were too poor to afford treatment, but the Adaora Hearts Foundation admitted her without question. Doctors and nurses worked night and day, and when she opened her eyes, 3 days later, her mother fell to her knees and cried. The girl's name, Adaora. When Chijioke heard that, he closed his eyes and smiled for the first time in years. Final scene, the letter to heaven. On the 10th anniversary of her death, Chijioke returned to her grave, this time with white roses. He sat beside it and opened a journal. In it was a letter. "Dear Adaora, they know your name now. The women you once dreamed of helping, they smile when they say it. The little girls run in hallways with Adaora hearts printed on their uniforms. You may have left this world, but your love stayed behind, through me. Through every healed wound, every saved life, you are here. And when I leave this world too, I only ask one thing. Let the wind carry this truth to wherever your soul rests. I loved you. I still do, and I always will." Even in silence, the wind blew softly through the trees, and for the first time, the silence didn't hurt, it healed.